what happens here is I get all the time these little offers, right? All these little offers. Here we write millions of dollars of premium. It doesn't matter. They're like, oh, buy my leads, $5, $6. Yabba dabba do. And they can't even form a sentence, and they want to sell us leads. No, thank you. Right. Yeah,
or something like Ed Smith or something,
bad. It's bad. So stay away from that stuff.
It's some kind of fake name. Yeah.
If the company won't protect you, don't put an order in.
Yeah. And we talked about it before, the things that we've done, the money we spent, the money we continue to spend on compliance, to protect the agent. And that's a big thing. There's a lot of stuff that went down last year. I can't get into it as far as and this wasn't on the final expense side. This was on another sector of insurance that I was privy to, that I heard about. But there was some funny, fishy things that went on, and there were a lot of litigators involved in that, and they made bank, and they kind of had a heads up. They kind of had some help, wink, wink, with some vendors that weren't on the up and up, and they got kind of a kickback for doing that. So unfortunately, those things happen, but that hurt a lot of agents. It hurt a lot of carriers. It was hush hush. You didn't really get much publicity because most of them settled out of court. So you never really saw anything about it, but it happened. And that's one of the reasons right now that we're in the Medicare season right now, right? That's one of the reasons now why the Medicare marketing and leads, it's so strict, right? So CMS came down and they were like, yep, no more of this. So you got these guys clamoring to sell their leads on Medicare, clamoring. They don't know what to do. I tell you what they're going to do. They're going to go out of business is what they're going to do, because whether they were part of that whole group, that cartel that instigated this, doesn't matter. They're still being lumped in with all those guys. So, and there's enough people with that side that understand what happened. Final expense, not so much, because it's not regulated. I mean, it is regulated. It's, life insurance, most regulated financial products in the world, but still there's not like a specific watchdog under the DLL, Department of Labor watching stuff, right? So you got CMS, which is just a watchdog group, right? That's all they do. Is their whole job is to go out and basically shut you down, and whether you're an agent or a business, hurting the recipient of the Medicare, right? So that dog has a lot of teeth. But with final expense, you got to be even more careful, because you don't have that group. So the agent is kind of left out there to be more cognizant of their own well-being, and protecting themselves. So TCPA compliance is a big thing. DNC compliance is a big thing. Every day we scrub data, we pull that every day. You would not believe how many TCPA litigators there are out there. And pulling that data is very important. You don't want to call those guys. You don't want to call anybody on the DNC. So all that stuff, and not to mention, there are now, I want to say it's 13 states. People don't know this. Okay. Let's say you do find a lead person, a lead company that does scrub. Are they scrubbing for state DNC too? Because there's 13 states that have their own. And they just went live. A lot of the states just went live with that in the last 24 months. So if you're not scrubbing the state DNC too, you can be popped for that. You just federal. It's not just federal. It's got to be state as well. So you've got to do that as well to get rid of those prospects, so you don't engage with them at all.
Make sure it's a new lead, folks. Don't be buying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't. Even in our portal, we started now. I think it's 60 or 90 days. We go in there, and guys, you bought leads from us 90 days ago. They're probably gone. You better download them if you want to call them on your own. But you're on your own with that. I don't recommend calling a lead past like 30, 45, 60 days. I just, things change. And even though it was legit, it's just, you don't want the headache, man. Just buy new leads.
You got 90 days anyway, but after 60 days of working a lead anyway, I mean, come on, just get a new set and go.
Yeah. And again, we talked about this, man, age leads have put a lot of guys on the playing field, right? Me included. That's all I could afford when we started. But I wouldn't do it again because that direct mail lead or whatever lead was sold to somebody else or wasn't, right? But it's been sitting God knows how long. Things change, laws change. People could have went on the DNC. You just don't know what's going on with that lead and what, are you being compliant with an aged lead?
Well,
It's really
age lead,
hard to be, yeah, it's really hard to be compliant with an aged lead, depending on how old it is. It's really hard to be compliant.
you
So
gotta get him scrubbed, period. Like
you
there's only
got to,
one age lead provider that I'll even touch, and it's because they
yeah,
scrub against the litigators list. They
yep,
scrub against TCPA, and the leads have all the tokens and everything's done. Because if they don't
got to
have
do it,
that,
got to do
you're
it.
in trouble. Like, don't
Yeah,
be buying old aged direct mail leads, old aged Facebook leads that are like a year old for small money. You're going to get popped. For those of you watching, you're going to get popped.
yeah,
You're messing with something that's going to absolutely blow up on you in a bad way in your insurance world. Like there's so many age leads vendor that I'll interface with, and I'll ask them, do you scrub against this? Do you scrub against that? They're like, no, no, no. And I'm like,
or they don't answer you at all.
right?
And
And I
that's
want
an
it in writing.
answer in itself. If they don't reply, that's an answer in itself. You know
Oh, it
what
is.
the answer is.
They don't care. They're selling
No.
the lead. They don't care if you survive or get sued. Like,
Yeah.
no thanks. Like, you got to be careful out there. For those of you in the audience, just be careful, right? Vet your trainer, vet your agency, vet your lead provider. Make sure that, be careful. 99.9% of the, aged leads that are a year old, 6 months old, they're not scrubbed. They're not. You got to make
No,
sure everything's scrubbed,
they're not.
scrubbed hard, and scrubbed
And
against the litigators list.
yeah, and it's a thing where, who knows what's going to happen in the future, right? There may be some kind of compliance. Nobody, I mean, industries have been destroyed before by the stroke of a pen of a government, right? So nobody knows what's going to happen in the future with anything, right? So, but right now we kind of know, we all can agree we know where we stand right now, right? So why not just deal with those people that are going to be the ones that are doing it the right way now?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it was a hard decision to make to start removing that stuff from the portal, and it's a long process. We're still not done. Taking that out and getting rid of older leads. And I mean, some agents were like, well, that sucks. I paid for it. I was like, yeah, it does. But trust me, in the end, you'll appreciate it.
Other lead providers do that after 90
yeah,
days.
they do.
They wipe it from the portal because they're not trying to put you into a bad position. That's why for those of you watching, they're not trying to take from you. Go print them, right? Go make a hard copy. They tell you in the beginning, like, don't do this. And if you decide to do this, just know you're doing it on your own.
Yep.
Don't say that the lead, great company like Matt at theleadjerk.com isn't trying to warn you, and other lead providers that do this best practice. This is just best practices. For those of you that are looking to buy leads in 2023, you got to know how to handle the lead, just like anything else in life, to be really successful. But get sophisticated, get sharp, get well trained, but know enough to not get hurt by buying any kind of lead, but specifically telemarketed leads as well. Don't touch them, right? Unless they've been scrubbed.
Yep.
So 2023, I know you've discounted some leads heavily. We appreciate that for the agent world. With telemarketed leads, do you think, because you sell inbound leads as well, how many states, maybe talk about inbound leads versus outbound?
Inbound, we're doing like on live transfers. We really need an agent group of like 5 or 6 agents, right? In several states, because the live ones, they are harder to generate. They really are. And hence the higher ticket price. But you are cutting out having to make a follow-up call. Look, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, if you're an agency owner, and we've experienced this before, unless you've just flat out spoiled your agents and you hire them as W-2s, right? And you got a small agency, you can spoil them with live transfers. If you find a good vendor, right, that does it the right way, they're getting those calls in, they're getting it right away, they're making the deal. It's hard for an agent to go from that to having leads being put in a portal that they got to reach back out to. They hate that. And we've experienced that a couple of times where the agency owner will be like, well, let's try these. And they'll come back and be like, yeah, it was pretty good ROI, but man, my agents hated it. And I was like, you spoiled them, dude.
It's like an inbound lead is so, it's fish in a barrel compared to going fishing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I got to go get cold and throw my line in the water, make all these calls and more calls and more calls and more calls. And somebody bites and you help them with a better product and reel them in and really help them well, kind of fishing, crappy analogy, which I bound with.
Yeah.
But this is when they're like, here's all these fish in a barrel and it's guaranteed to be a call. It's good. It's great. I mean, you got good inbound leads, but
the cost is breaching now though of being more expensive than even a direct mail on a pay-per lead program.
Yeah, and direct mails are going up too. For 2023.
Yeah,
we can
postage and everything else. I mean, the live transfers are, I mean, they're high. They're high. Yeah, I'd say if you're buying live transfers as a single agent and you're paying less than $50 a lead, maybe even 45, I'd be real careful. Because you got to understand, if they're not doing what they're supposed to on their end, right, on the data, and they call somebody and they're waiting and they take that call and it's transferred, you are screwed because
your liability.
Yes, absolutely. They have your name. They know who you are. They got all your information. And, there's no backing up from that. That's like, you can't call the bullet back out of a barrel, right?
Right.
So you got to be very careful with that when you're dealing with live transfers. And we do them, but they're still nowhere near as popular as callback leads or Facebook. They're just not. I think one, because the cost, and number two, I think, we had to put in those parameters with 5 agents because what we experienced was if it was only one agent, they were missing calls.
Absolutely.
So I was like, look, I hate to do it. We got to protect you from yourself. You're going to blow money if you're a single agent on live transfers if you're not careful. And these companies that allow you to go in and turn campaigns on and off, you got some legit ones, but you got to be careful about that too, because 9 times out of 10 with a company will let you go in and kind of campaign on and off like that. That's not the way it works. You can't just flip a button and have operators go live and start making calls for you. Those are voice blast, and they're just taking a IVR and just rerouting it back to you when they hit a number 9 or a 1 or whatever it asks for, and then you got them live on the phone. You got to be careful about that. That's out there too. And I know this company's doing millions of dollars a year selling those, and I don't honestly, Jason, I don't want to be that big. I really don't. I like having a smaller boutique lead agency. I'd like to sleep at night, man. And
it's not about being the biggest. It's about, in my opinion, being the best.
Integrity, man.
Right? It's about being the best. It's not about being the biggest on the block and then taking care of nobody. It's that's not my agency model. I know that's not your model at leadjerk.com. It's not. We just want to get stuff right. You want to get a quality lead, which you need quantity of, by the way, for those of you, the viewers. If you buy 30 leads, 40 leads, 100 leads, don't judge any batch of leads based on 30. You can't do that. You can't. You got to have volume when you go through it, because you may have your yeses tomorrow, next day, next week out of that batch that you bought, but 30 is like riding the world's smallest merry-go-round. You're going to get dizzy. You're going to puke. You're not going to be profitable if all you got is 30 leads, period. In my opinion. Buy a bigger batch, buy as many as you can, and then you call them like you're broke and you work them like you got wealth. I mean, you have to. You got to have that confidence to capitalize with Tele, because they smell it about you. If you don't know what you're talking about in that script, you're not sharp. You're going to realize you want to be really into a place that you can handle the objections before they come up, because it'll happen. It'll hurt you in this field if you're not prepared for it. For those, and you gotta,
and you got to be able to put yourself. You kind of got to be able to put yourself in their shoes, right? I mean, some people, they have no idea what it's like to struggle. A lot of people in America do right now, right? They really do. But I'm talking about, like, they don't realize there's a part of the population that is just born into struggle, born into low income, born into poverty. And now the fact is, the only thing that can bring them out of that is themselves, right? But having said that, those are the people you're mainly going to deal with simple issue. They're, you know, these people are in a point in their life where they're in their middle 50s or 60, 70, 80, right? And they need something that's going to pay out $15,000 to $20,000. They don't have it. They've never had it, right? So you got to put yourself in that position. I've been broke before. I know how that feels. Sure. A lot of people haven't. And I think most of the guys that can identify with that, even if they've never been there, but they can picture it to what it must feel like, those are the guys that usually do the best, no matter what lead they're buying. When it comes down
privileged
to
take care of these great people.
Yeah, exactly.
They're amazing. So, and it's so many people that I've seen, like team rah, team go get your high AP, go get your high premium. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing
sick, dude.
There's nothing wrong with getting high premium.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the attitude of this, like, yeah, go get it. Yeah, go get on the leaderboard. Yeah, go get on that. Let's just take care of these good people that need us.
Yeah.
Take care of them, not in a pushy way, not I'm going to like make you feel death and pressure you and back this up to your front door and make you feel horrible so that I get every penny I can out of you, like a bad car salesman. Yeah. I'm not talking about you good car salesmen out there. I appreciate you guys. I got a buddy that's car salesman. So, but I'm just saying there's insurance agents that will push people into things, and it's like the scourge of the industry, in my opinion. Where
you know what, those guys never last though. Those guys never last.
I agree.
I've never seen one. Nope, I've never seen one that was more interested about the money lasting longer than somebody that wanted good money, right? They wanted to provide for their family too, but they also did the right thing. The guys that are, I'm trying to think who told me this one time. A guy, an agency owner, I can't remember who it was, but he told me he'd rather have a guy that wrote 8,000 to 10,000 a month for 20 years versus a guy that wrote 50,000 a month for 2.
100%.
You know, in and out. And there's a lot of bouncing in and out with this industry, all industries really.
There is.
So yeah, that's my take on it. I understand the rah-rah stuff and I appreciate it, but I think with what's happened, you know, like a lot of people's eyes have been open the last couple of years on, like, they finally trying to figure out what they want to do in their life, right? And that's the issue you got with labor right now, is a lot of people were too busy to actually think about what they wanted to do with their life. And then all of a sudden they had the time to think about it. They're like, you know what? I don't think I want to go back to doing this or that. And I think some of that fell over into final expense agents. I really do. I think there's a gap right now. And I think that's why so many, you see a lot of these larger IMOs out there recruiting. I mean, it is all time. My best friend gets emails. He's not even interested in being an agent.
Right? Oh, me too. All the time.
You know? Like, he's like, I don't know where they're, you know, why am I
get my information, right?
Yeah. I said, well, dude, they need bodies. They don't have enough agents right now. So there's an opportunity right there. If you do it right, you know,
the paper will happen. The paper, like this, a lot of people want the paper, right? They want the wealth without working, or they want the paper, but it's like, let's just keep this simple. Let's take care of great people. Let's take care of people that are poor, people that are middle class, even upper class, because we do tons of annuity work as well with folks that have wealth, but we're going to take care of everyone the same. We're going to love on people. And then, you know what, if we're good at taking care of people with great products, the paper can follow. But it's not about rah, big leaderboards. Big leaderboards are great, but the leave behind, in my opinion, is if they got thousands of agents and all they can show is 1, 2, 3, 4, what's everybody else broke? That's the way I look at it.
Exactly. And it's funny you say that, because there was an organization I was with before, and what they did was we had them, but they weren't public, right?
Right.
So that was all taken care of internally on phone calls, like a weekly phone call and maybe an internal page. it wasn't put out there for everybody to see. And I think a lot of that is more, I think a lot of that's more self-serving, virtue signaling to get them more agents, right? Like, you see it like, oh, these 10 guys made the guy even at number 10 still made 10 grand last month. I think a lot of it's just, used for marketing purposes to pull in agents. And you got to think at the end of the day, is the guy that's only concerned with money really the agent? Is that really the majority of agents you want? I mean, I know that's what makes the world go round. Don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid, but do you want your number one thing for your whole sales force to be just money? I don't think I would. I would.
Well, that's the beauty about your heart. And like for usually watching, if you need good leads, go to theleadjerk.com. Matt's been in business over a decade. Okay. Doing this in the industry with his leads and in the industry, he knows what it's like to be an agent. So, even when you see agents that do phenomenal success, you'll notice that I'm always like, don't expect this to always be you. The agents have done this years. You can arrive here, but we don't arrive in a day. We arrive by daily preparing, daily honing, daily helping other people. And then hopefully, it's not guaranteed. Hopefully you're going to make it in this industry. Hopefully you're going to make it into a position where you become, powerful in your own right to protect other people through great products. It's about them. It's not about us. We got to get out of the way. It's not about, oh, I need my money. I'm going to go get my paper today. Let's take care of people. And it just makes me want to puke when I see some of this stuff.
It's pretty cool. We were talking about